Hey everyone, so today I wanted to do a video, and this is something I wanted to do for a really long time. This video, from the title, is going to be advice for teenagers aging out of the foster care system. So I was in foster care. I did age out. I was in foster care twice. I was there from ages 8 to 9, and then I went back in when I was 12 and aged out, which means I was there until I was 18. So there's just some advice that I would like to give others maybe who are kind of making that transition from the foster care system into adulthood, which it's really tricky, and I feel like these are things that I wish people would have told me, or things that I would have been aware of, or just from my own personal experience, things that I wish that I would have, like, if I could go back and tell myself these things, like, I would. So yeah, I wanted to make a video about it, and I would like to make future videos on this subject because, you know, growing up in foster care, growing up poor, growing up in general is very tricky. You know, it's like, it's a really hard time and it's hard to figure things out, and I just wanted to help and give some advice, and hopefully this will reach someone who needs it. That's basically the goal here. I actually had my cousin, one of my cousins, and we haven't talked in years, like since we were like little kids, and I didn't even know she was in foster care, and she messaged me on Facebook and she was asking me about like grants to go to college, and you know, basically what I did to get into school, and those were things that were really overwhelming for me to try and figure out as well. So that kind of sparked my inspiration to do this video. Also, one of my friends is becoming a foster parent, so it just kind of seems to be an appropriate time for me to make this kind of video. So if I could go back, the very first piece of advice that I would give myself is do the independent living classes. And I didn't do it. I'm not sure if it's required, but my caseworker always told me it was required, but I never went. I told them, I was like, look, as soon as I'm 18, I want nothing to do with you guys. I don't want a caseworker. I don't want anyone to be an authority to me. I was pretty rebellious and didn't like authority. I was like angry. I was angry about my situation, and so I thought by like not participating I was hurting them or something, but really I was hurting myself. If you do independent living classes, they will help you get a car, or they will help you find a place to live. Like, they will help you make that transition, whatever you may need. If you need help figuring out how to get into college, they will help you through that. So that's something I definitely really wish that I would have participated in. Like I said, was just rebellious, and I ended up really missing out on a lot of things that could have helped me. So yeah, I know for the independent living you have to go and take classes and stuff like that, but and I was really against that. I was like, I already know like how to take care of myself. I've been doing it since I was a little kid, so anything you could teach me I already know. But really, there were things that I could have learned, definitely. If I would have just been open to it instead of being angry all the time and like rebellious, they could have taught me about budgeting. They could have taught me about how to get in school, how to deal with financial aid, how to like take care of a house, things like that you just learn as an adult. I think you're not exactly prepared for until you actually learn them. So don't put that off. Like, really try and learn and be open to that, because being an adult out of foster care is really hard, because, you know, depending on your situation, I don't know if you have like foster parents that are like supportive and want to guide you into adulthood, but for me, I didn't want any part of that. And so from like my late teens into my early 20s, I had a really hard time. You know, I really wanted to do it all myself, and I really couldn't. So that's just kind of like advice. If I could go back, I would totally take the independent living classes. Alright, so next up on the list, as far as school goes and what to do when you're 18, I would really look into going to school first and foremost, because there's grant money for you, there's scholarships for you. I don't know if this is like throughout the United States. I know for the state of Ohio, which is the state I was in, there is a grant called the ETV grant. I will link it below for you, and it's only available until you're 21. So from the time you're 18 to 21, that's your window to get this grant money. I actually applied for it. I spent one semester at school when I was 19 and I did not like it, so But I did sign up for the ETV grant. Now the thing is you have to keep them updated on your grades. You have to report to them, and that was something I didn't like. Again, I was like, I don't want to report to people. I don't want to have caseworkers. I don't want to have people that are bossing me around. But really, I wish that I would have participated in that. I wish I would have took school more seriously. That's just a piece of advice I'd give anybody who's like turning 18 and about to go into school. I put off school for a really, really long time. The only reason I went when I was 19 is because I was basically forced into it. But the whole thought of going to college was super overwhelming to me. I was like, well, how am I supposed to decide like what I want to do, how much money I need to go to school? Like financial aid was like so hard for me to wrap my head around. Like getting books, like figuring out what classes I need to take, like talking to advisors and professors, like the whole thing just made me feel like overwhelmed. I was like, there's no way I can do this. And again, like I didn't want help. I wanted to do it all myself. I didn't want people telling me like what to do. Again, like my advice for this part is there is government money for kids who have aged out of foster care, and there might be some even if you like spent a few years in foster care, I'm not sure. But on the FAFSA form, it asks if you were ever in foster care. So you can get money to go to school. Like that's huge. Like a lot of people don't have that opportunity. Like there are some kids who grew up well off and had great parents and great lives, but they can't afford to go to school. So that's something that I just like, I don't envy. And I would take full advantage of the fact that you can get all this like government money, scholarships, like look into private scholarships. That's something that I should be doing like currently because I'm still in school. I'm a junior currently. I don't want to be a foster kid, you know, like I tried to like put that out of my identity once I was 18. That's another thing I would suggest to you. I know for me in school, I always like alienated myself because I felt like I was strange and like, you know, I wasn't good enough to be around those people, like other people who had like normal lives. And it wasn't even until recently, I'm 25, and it wasn't even like until recently I figured out like there were a lot of people who had like really, really bad home lives. And to me, I always thought like, oh, I have the worst situation, like no one has it as bad as I do. Like I move around like 5 times a year, I go to all these different schools, I'm always the new girl, like no one understands how bad I have it. And really, I'm thankful for it. Like I wish that I would have taken more advantage of the opportunities. I wish I would have talked to my caseworkers more. I wish that I would have engaged with people more. It was just really, really hard, you know, growing up. And growing up is awkward as it is, but when you're in like a tricky situation, like your home life is tricky, it's even worse. And I think people do really try to find ways to alienate themselves, and that's just like, that's my advice too. Like don't alienate yourself. Don't put yourself in a position where you're so much different than everyone else and you need to be put in a corner somewhere. You know, you belong just as much as anybody else. And come to find out, there's probably lots of people who are having a hard time. Like don't buy into like people looking like they have it all, because they don't. Also, like I wish that I would have reached out to my teachers more. And this was like before I even went into foster care. Like I wish that I would have told my teachers like, hey, I'm having a really hard time at home. Like I don't have clothes. Like I have to sit and like babysit my brothers for days in and days out. Like I need help. Like I'm too much of an adult. Like that was really hard for me in school, because also like I looked around at all the other students and I felt like they were all kids, they were all children, and I was an adult, and I didn't like how teachers treated me like I was a child or something. Like I didn't know how to like take care of myself, or you know, like I was a child, and I didn't feel like I wasn't treated like that at home. I was an adult from a very early age, and I wish that like some of my teachers would catch on, but it was like always towards like the very end of the year. Like I remember my 6th grade teacher, she pulled me out of like an art class, like my homeroom teacher, and she pulled me out of an art room class and talked to me privately, and she was crying, and she was like, I had no idea, I'm so sorry, like I should have paid attention. And you know, teachers are there to help you, so I would never be scared to go to a teacher, like confide in a teacher, because those are the people who can help you. Those are the people who, that's why they have those jobs, you know, like teachers aren't paid very much, and if they don't notice, like I remember not wanting to talk to my teachers because I felt like they didn't like me, because I didn't like authority. I didn't, you know, sometimes I didn't get the best grades. I didn't comprehend stuff very well. And I felt like teachers were frustrated with me also because I would like miss school a lot, or I'd be late to school, things like that. And those are like warning signs, you know what I mean? I feel like if a kid is misbehaving or if they're having trouble academically, I feel like teachers should reach out more. Some of them do, but I've been to enough schools to where I went to 14 different schools. I went to enough schools to where like some teachers really like tried to help me, and then other teachers were just mad at me. I felt like, talk to your teachers. Like I said, they can really, I had one teacher in 5th grade, she like got a bunch of Christmas presents for me and my brothers. It was so nice of her. She went out and bought all this stuff for us, and it was so sweet of her. I haven't talked to her since then, which really is unfortunate. Like, she really like tried to help me. She would sit and have lunch with me like every single day. So that's my other piece of advice. Talk to your teachers, confide in people. Don't be afraid to ask for help. So I think I'm gonna end the video on that note, because that's basically like all the advice I really have, because this video is supposed to be for like teenagers aging out of the foster care system. I would like to make more videos related to this topic. I'm gonna kind of throw this video out there and see like what all comes back, because I don't even know if this is something that people are, if this is like a sought out type of video. I wish someone would have made a video like this when I was younger, or I would have thought to like look into something like that even. But just know that being an adult is hard, and I don't think when you're 18 you're an adult, but you do have a window of time. I think between like 18 and 21 you do have that time where caseworkers will still help you, and I wish that I would took advantage of that, because once that time's gone, it's gone. And transitioning into adulthood is really hard, and it's so hard to do it alone. And I made the mistake of trying to do it alone, and it didn't work. It failed. So it took me until I was 23 to actually like get it together, go to school, and by that time, you know, it was like you're really on your own now. Like for me, I don't know about you, but I was so anxious to turn 18. I always told my caseworkers, I was like, I want nothing to do with you guys at all. I want to be totally on my own. Like, as soon as my birthday, October 15th, that day, that minute, I'm out of here. Like, I don't want to hear from you. I don't want you to check in on me. None of that. So I was just totally like angry with the system, and you know, it was hard. Like that was like my toughest years, from 18 to like 23. I was really lost. If you can get help from like family members, if you can get help from your foster parents. Another thing I would say is, I think once I turned 18, I was like ready to get back with my real family, and that was kind of a mistake, because that was kind of the problem. I went and I lived with my sister, and my sister was young herself, so I really struggled. I didn't make myself go to school, of course. Like, there was not an authority there to make me go to school and finish out high school, so I of course didn't make myself. I wasn't going to make myself get up at 6 in the morning every day and go to school. I just wasn't going to do it. I just think that you have to kind of look out for yourself, and I'm telling you, ask for help. Ask for help. And don't turn to people who cannot help you. Like, siblings are there to be your siblings. Just don't rely on people who you know cannot be relied upon. Try to rely upon people who have their stuff together themselves. For me, like I said, I really wanted to get back in touch with my family. I wanted to get back to my roots, who I was. I didn't want to be a foster kid. I wanted to be just my own person, and I wanted to like blow everything over and just be normal again and be independent and just not be a foster kid, basically. And I really wish that I would have just not gotten my own way so much. That's what I did. So I invite you, if you have any questions, like I know like going to college and stuff is really confusing. That's what I had a lot of confusion with. So if you have any questions about like that, especially, I'd love to make like a video on that topic, or just about like foster care in general. If you have any other video ideas you'd like me to talk about. I was also going to be adopted, so I know what that's like. I was gonna be adopted by a family in Canada, no less. I actually went and lived with them for like 2 months, and it was like craziness. I was 17, and It was like the scariest thing ever, so I'll probably make like a video on that experience. But I invite you as like you know, a foster youth or even like a foster parent, you know, message me. I'll leave my email down below and you can send me an email or you can message me through YouTube. Just go to the about section. It's like up at the top somewhere, like scroll over and it'll be like the far right and it'll have like a message thing somewhere on that page. Or if you'd like to leave me a comment, it's totally fine. If you want to just have everything out there, do you. So yeah, I really hope that this video finds the people who need help and need some guidance. It's what I'm in college for. It's what I'd ultimately like to do. I'd like to be helping teenagers who were in my predicament. Everybody's experience is different, and just if you want to like message me and like let me know your experience, I think that'd be really cool. I would love some feedback about it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.